Not confessional.
Good evening and welcome to the Monday, July 12th, 2021 Litchfield Board of Selectmen meeting. The board has just come out of a paperwork review. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item this evening is a review and approval of consent items. We have an account payroll manifest of July 6th, 2021 in the sum of $209,041.10, and July 13th of 2021 in the sum of $10,642.97. We have a payroll manifest of July 8th, 2021 in the sum of $55,597.97, and July 15th, 2021 in the sum of $57,861.91. We have a tax abatement of MAP 15, Lot 28 in the sum of $533.65. We have a purchase order M21-20 for mobile radios in the sum of $23,147.23. Are there any items members would like to remove from consent?
The radios were the ones we already approved, right?
Correct.
You did.
It's the second batch. Yep.
Okay. Just for the people watching at home.
Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Leary,
Second.
second by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Is there any other business members would like to add this evening? Hearing none, public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 p.m. The first item of business is the acceptance of the June 28th, 2021 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review? And if so, do we have any comments or clarifications?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
We have a motion by Mr. Leary.
I'll second.
We have a second by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Next item of business is Barron's Warehouse update. Andy Proman. Mr. Brown.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. For the record, my name is Andy Perlman, attorney with Perny and Perlman in Nashua. And thank you very much for having me. I want to give you an update on the Barron's Warehouse. With me tonight is Bill Lewers, representing both the Colby family and the Barron's major brands.
Welcome. Come on up.
Come on up. We're friendly here.
Yeah. Okay. You'll be safe by Andy.
So I want to give you an update of Barron's, where we are, how the plans have developed, and I want to ask for your support as we go to the zoning board next Monday, a week from tonight. I've been providing Troy with a couple different things, and I'm not sure if those have been received by you folks. If not, I want to give you three separate things, if I could, and I will be as brief as possible with this with our hearing tonight. So if I could ask you to pass on down. I have a plan update, and I'll tell you about that. I have a potential wetlands mitigation piece. I'll tell you about that. And then we have an estimated revenue analysis done by planner Mark Fougere. And I'll walk you through that. And again, I hope to do this in 10 minutes or less. The Barron's major brand plan is the same building that we talked about before. It's 132,000 square feet. We moved the building upwards on the lot away from a valuable wetland. And as a result, we have an impact of just under, 29,000 square feet of wetland impact. The wetland impact was presented to the Conservation Commission last week, or June 2nd, I believe. And the Conservation Commission has voted in favor of a positive recommendation to the zoning board for our wetland special exception. The significant change that we have on this plan is the traffic impact as a result of our meeting with DOT. DOT did not like the potential conflict of our tractor trailers coming in St. Francis Way because of the wide nature of the turn would be conflicting with cars coming out. So DOT recommended, and we agreed, that it makes sense to have our truck entrance coming in the driveway between 494 and 496 Charles Bancroft. And so that'll be a truck entrance only for the tractor trailer trucks and our box trucks. And then we will be exiting using San Francis Way for the trucks. Our employees' cars will be using St. Francis Way. The impact of the truck entrance only using the driveway is that it reduces by about half the truck traffic on St. Francis Way. And again, we're trying to be mindful of our friends just north of us at St. Francis Church. We're working with them on their time schedules to avoid conflict as much as possible with the St. Francis Church daily use. And we have, the same, we're proposing 5-foot berms with fences on the berms with vegetative screenings around the fencing. So we have a visual barrier to the building. So that's my building update. Because we are impacting 29,000 square feet of actual wetland, not in addition to the buffer impact. The DES rules require where there is an impact of over 10,000 square feet of wetland, we have to offer up some mitigation. And there are a couple options available to parties in our position. There's an outright donation to the state's mitigation fund. There is working with the town to acquire some property that the town may have their eyes on, or it could be a donation of land. We are steering ourselves, and I say we, the Conservation Commission and the applicant Barron's, toward a donation of land, roughly 6.5 acres along the river that you see in yellow on the tax map. This has a lot of benefits. First of all, it's something that we control. We don't have a third party at play. So this is entirely within our control and with working with the Conservation Commission as well. It preserves riverfront, which is always a good thing. It ties in and connects to the Moores Falls Conservation Area. So a lot of positives with that. Now, understand, by no means is it a done deal. There's a lot of details to work through with DES, the Conservation Commission, and there's ways to get there. But it's looking like this would be our mitigation, which I think would be a benefit to the town. We had called upon Mark Fougere, a well-known and well-respected planner in southern New Hampshire, to take a look at what the tax impact would be to the town. And you have his report. I'm not going to read it to you, but besides the one-time hits of the current use tax, the impact fees and permitting fees, put all those aside. Those are healthy numbers in and of themselves, but put those aside. We're looking at a positive tax impact to the town of $230,000 or more, and we're using the LKQ as our comp because it's a great comp right next door, very comparable. Just it's new, so it was a very handy to have, and frankly, I think Mark's numbers are a little low. But even taking them for what they are, there's a positive tax impact of over $200,000 a year with little cost to the town. There will be an occasional police call. There will be a fire department. Perhaps they have to inspect the sprinklers every year or something like that. But really, there'll be little cost associated with this building to the town. No school kids as a result of this warehouse. So with that, we are going to the zoning board for two things come Monday night. We need a use variance because the distribution and the warehouse are not permitted in this district. Although, again, we're very nearly identical to the LKQ. They got a use variance just like we're asking for. And we need a wetland special exception because of the wetland impact. We, again, went to the Concom. We have a positive recommendation from Concom. You folks, in the big picture, you, the town of Litchfield, are an abutter to our site. And so as an abutter, you have an opportunity to weigh in, to, voice your opinion to the zoning board. And I'm here tonight to ask for your support.
Okay.
I've done this a number of times over the years. I was in Seabrook about 2 years ago. The town loved the project we were working on. It involved a permanent bus station, and the selectmen came to the zoning board meeting. I needed a use variance, and they, I don't want to say berated, but they let the zoning board members know exactly why they wanted this to happen for the town. Right. If I could get a letter of support or an attendance by any member, that would be fantastic. All right. You don't necessarily have to answer me right now, but that's my pitch tonight. That's my update to you. And I thank you for your time. And you can always reach out to me with any questions. I'm not hard to find.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. Do we have any questions right now for Andy?
I have one. On the entrance on the secondary side, the DOT has made it so that the signage here looks like the truck entrance only, then it says do not enter. So it's gonna be, you want it just as an exit on the south side, correct?
No, that's entrance only.
It's just an entrance.
In the entrance, so we
Right,
don't have to
so-
worry about sight distance then, right?
No, the engineers have looked at site distance. I believe they're over 300 feet. But I'm not an engineer. I don't know that, but it wasn't an issue for DOT. I'll put it that way.
For entrance, I understand what you're saying. It was an exit, is another issue. Sight distance to the south.
Okay. Oh, I see
Okay.
what you're saying.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. No, we're not. We're just going in.
Okay,
And it's not that bad. We have two neighbors there, but we have 2 to 3 tractor trailers a day and
I understand.
15 to 20 box trucks that will come in the afternoon.
Entrance is not a big deal.
Yeah,
Exit would be a concern.
sure.
So they exit on St. Francis?
Correct.
Yep.
And that was my major concern, is if they were going to exit out of the south driveway, that sight line. I actually stopped and looked, and I was really glad to see that you have that designated as an entrance only. That was my only concern.
Yeah. No.
It's tough to see south coming
Yeah.
out of there.
I think it's a fantastic project.
Yeah. No.
I do too. I think it's the best thing that could come to town. I mean, it's such low impact.
Yeah. Well, there's a very technical real estate term, legal real estate term that we use for things like this, and it's called a no-brainer. Right. So
You have to explain that.
I knew that was coming, Andy.
Did you work
Anyway.
at the State House too?
folks, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Andy.
it. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks.
Look forward to working with you.
I have a question for Mr. Fogier. Can I call him? You know I know him well.
Of course you do. No for days.
Mhm.
You bet.
Back
Thanks,
there.
guys. All right, we'll see you again.
Have a great
All
night.
right, take care.
Appreciate you coming.
And I'm back there again, Andy, too. I love picking on him. He was my boss for 6 months. Mark.
Was he?
Good night. Be well.
That's it.
Next item is Conservation Commission update. Matt Lepore, Mr. Brown.
Well, before we move on to that topic, I think, it's a consensus of the board, but do we want to officially just be on record saying that we support, make a motion or something? We support it. We send a letter of support.
I know I support.
Zoning
Does
Board of
anybody else
Adjustment.
feel differently?
We are
Are we
abutters.
all supporters?
I would, I mean, what little I know about it, I support, but I don't know enough about it, and I'm new to this game, so I wouldn't feel comfortable supporting something that I don't understand.
I think it's just, normally the zoning board of adjustment, when they're deliberating on a case, there's an opportunity for abutters to voice support, concerns. And so we could be on record just voicing our support. We have no concerns. We think that it doesn't have an impact to the community.
Yeah.
We don't get involved that often, but I think that I think it's important that the zoning board of adjustment is aware of this board's position, because they're going to be granting 2 exceptions. They're going to special exception for the wetlands. And then, of course,
Allow
the
use.
proposed use is not even allowed in this district. we all know that LKQ is next door, and this same variance was granted a couple of years ago. But still, here's a board is going to have to make that decision to allow the use, which is not a permitted use today, and to disturb the wetlands.
In my opinion, it's such a low impact to the community. It really is not going to generate any more traffic. It's a great revenue stream for it. If we can end up somehow getting the Conservation Commission to have that piece of land that's adjacent to Morris Falls, I mean,
Well,
it's nothing
that's-
but all wins across the board from my standpoint.
Well, that's what I'm saying, okay? And that's, I think what it is, the mitigation factor, there's a possibility that it'll work better there. We'll get that lower field,
Mhm.
okay, which is connected to the contract. Okay, that goes through there, and the plans are gonna flip the contract over a little bit on one of them. The culvert's not where they show. But I think it's the benefit, as that could be your mitigation, which would be more than what the state would be looking for too. Okay,
Matt, from what you've seen, what are your thoughts?
So I do think that would be advantageous if we have that additional piece of land because it is, I do believe it's combination of wetland. I believe there's wetland in there and it is partly farm field.
Yep.
So if we're able to protect that and it's also adjacent to an existing conservation parcel and it has riverfront
Yep.
access, so
Yeah.
why not?
Checks a lot of boxes.
Okay.
Ms. Queenan, how do you feel?
So you're on.
I
you're on
support
board.
both the
Yeah.
use variant
Okay.
and the wetland special exception.
Mhm. And they still have to follow all the regular rules and regulations of a building.
Yep.
They're just getting a couple of variances, which happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the use variance, I don't see how that wouldn't be approved since LKQ is right next door.
Yeah.
So I'm comfortable to support it, just I hope.
I am
a
as
motion
well.
For everybody else, and Rich, if you don't know enough, it's,
That's absolutely
you can
fine.
abstain, you can, not vote, whatever you feel comfortable about.
Mhm.
So do we have a motion to put forth our support of the project?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Leary.
I'll
second
second.
it.
We have a second by Ms. Queenan or Mr. Lynch.
Pick one.
All those in favor, Mr. Leary?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. So you'll send that for us, Troy?
Yes.
Thank you. So now the next item is Conservation Commission update. Matt Lepore.
Okay, so I believe initially we were going to come and discuss the easement discussion that we've been involved in with stage crossing. Since our last meeting, that has been, we had a discussion with them and they're going to come back to us and propose where they'd like to move the easement, because that's essentially what we're looking at right now is a land swap and see what we can do. Just try our best to work with the community there, with the neighborhood. But otherwise, for right now, it's been pretty quiet. Been talking with the Attorney General's office, and they've been giving us support. But other than that, I'm not sure if there's anything else I have regarding that. But I do have some other updates related to what the Conservation Commission is involved in with other agencies, kind of significant actions we've been taking. So in the last two meetings, I think it was in May, we approved a weather program. And so we're essentially going to be studying weather and the more long-term climate over the town of Litchfield at a local scale. And we've been working with the National Weather Service on that, and they have been supportive of us when we're doing that. And we might even be replacing the weather station at the fire station with a new, more advanced one that would be able to hook up wirelessly to the internet and onto a website, and it could update in a matter of seconds, constantly 24/7, 365. And I believe an official with the National Weather Service might be coming out in the next few months or weeks in case there's another location that might be more ideal, say maybe the school, Campbell High School, something like that.
Yeah, would this new advanced weather station, could that determine the presence or absence of a force field?
Yeah, that was coming up.
I'd be, I wish, because it just seems to come and go. It's unpredictable because
Well, the force field wasn't in effect here recently.
Yeah, for the last week, it hasn't been too good.
No. But in the past, the force field was exceedingly strong.
Hmm.
So that if it could confirm that one way or the other, that'd be good.
Yeah, the weather stations that do exist out there, and I'm still looking at them, are very impressive. They're a few $100s, but the amount of instruments they have on them, you can check the rainfall, barometric pressure, wind speed and direction, all that stuff, and have it updated live for residents to be able to look at, and then we get that whole record. I think that would be beneficial. So we're still exploring the options there because there are so many.
So that could be live on the town website.
Yes. Yes, we could put a link to it and we
Wow.
could update. There are already weather stations in town that we draw from. I sent the results to Kevin because he asked. Right, like in minutes, I had Pinecrest and I had the north end of town, Garden Drive, and then I had a couple different weather stations, and this is how much rain they reported, and it was all around 2 inches of rain.
So
From last
Jason
week.
Brandon, we could tell if he's lying to us.
Yeah, we could. We have proof. So that's a pretty exciting thing that's coming up, and that is actually going to be featured in next month's monthly news bulletin from the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions, because I believe we are actually the first town to engage in that, and we beat Manchester out for because they're looking at doing a climate study, and we came out a little bit ahead of them, I think. The next thing is that we've begun doing site walks. So again, I think it was either in our May or our June meeting, we took action to say we are going to inspect every single conservation property in town by the end of the year. We started with the muster field. That went really well. We had 4 people go, 4 members. We walked the boundary of the whole property. And we even are now considering a new trail in there. It'll be a riverfront trail. People could walk down. It's a little steep, so you can't get down to the shore, but it's a great view of the Merrimack side of the river. And then I believe in the next few weeks, we're going to do Morris Falls, and then we're going to, every few weekends, we're going to try and get these properties done as we need to and inspect them. And with that, we're also working on a land management policy on how we're going to essentially just manage these properties, what members can be involved in on their own, whether it be trash cleanups, clearing trails and things like that, and how we want to manage these properties best for their use. And on top of that, we're also going to be doing a communication policy. So it's going to kind of like how I believe a couple other towns will like have a social media policy about what members can and or should and shouldn't say online and things like that. And this is going to kind of extend to our commission, making sure that everyone is kind of isn't disclosing non-public information or comments that can cause us trouble. And we're also working on landowner outreach. So advertising that landowners can come and talk to us, letters that we can send out to landowners that we might be interested in talking to down the road, or events that we can invite landowners to so that they can see what we're involved in. So we're being a little bit more proactive in, working with these larger property owners that we might want to work with down the road. Another program that I'm looking at, kind of like the weather program, something that we'll be doing consistently, is a wildlife program. That's something that we've been involved in doing for a while, for the past few years, on and off. Joan has been involved in walking through our properties and looking for, birds. So we might do, bird watching tours through the properties. I received 3 reports in the last month for turtle nests. We've gone out and marked them out. There's one on the bike path. We can see that with the caution tape out there. And we put signage so that people don't step on the turtle nests, and we'll protect them from predators for a few weeks while the nests are vulnerable. So that has been working out really well. I think we want to expand on that, work with Fish and Game more and their biologists on how to best administer over wildlife in town. Next up, the fishing derby. So we discussed at our last meeting that we were going to be working with the Recreation Commission on bringing back the fishing derby. We had a member of the public, Paul Lemire, who I believe has been involved in the fishing derby in the past. He is really excited to get this going. We have a sponsor with Bass Pro Shops who's going to who's going to be sponsoring this event. And so I think they just need to get a dredge permit for that wetland, and then we'll work with Recreation on setting up an event for next year.
What wetland are you talking?
Chase Brook.
Yeah, Chase
Chase
Brook.
Brook,
It's off of
okay.
Mark
Yeah.
Mark Lane.
Yep, I know where it is.
Yeah, it's Dushan's Pond. It used to be part of the campground. There was a
Yeah.
swimming pond there.
Mhm.
And it got overgrown over the years when the campground closed. That's a
Yeah.
perfect spot for it.
Yeah.
Open the dam up.
Do you work with the Nature Conservancy on Grassy Pond?
Yes. So I haven't actually spoken with Nature Conservancy about management. I've spoken with DES because they're the landowner, the official landowner. But I haven't spoken to anyone with the Nature Conservancy
Have you ever seen Grassy Pond?
many times. Yep.
It's wonderful.
It is beautiful property.
It is. And I don't know, can you access it without going on private property?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
High school, the-
Into Carlisle Drive.
Mhm.
So there's a trailhead. It's not very clear, but it is back there. But I think I'd have to reach out to DES and see what their plan is for access in
It's
there.
a wonderful resource and it's hidden away, you know.
Mm.
Understand there's good blueberries back there too.
I have seen that. Yeah.
Have you?
In the, yeah, right in the brush there. There's I've seen a few blueberry bushes.
We planted those years ago.
They're in.
Final item, kind of working with other agencies, and this took up a lot of discussion at our last meeting, is potentially getting a piece of equipment for land management. We've kind of had a couple ideas, whether that be a zero-turn mower, or we could get something with a little bit more utility in a tractor that can then have a brush mower on it, or looking at a side-by-side ATV. And we've been in discussion with Recreation Commission on the loader. That's something that they're interested in. And we've been talking with the police department on the side-by-side discussion. So I plan on meeting with the chief at some point. We'll go over that and discuss what our options are there. That is what I have tonight. I know I just kind of dumped a ton of information out on you, but
I have nothing to say.
No, that's great. Thank you for all the influx of stuff that's going on over at the Conservation Commission. It's good
Yeah.
to see.
I like that you're getting the public out and getting them involved in some of this stuff because for years, Mr. Lynch will reflect this thought as well, is that conservation did not want anybody on their properties. It literally run you off.
yeah.
You get the public involved, you get them interested, you're going to have a wealth of help
Yeah.
of your projects.
Yeah, and we're for the landowner management or communication policy or outreach, we received assistance from the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions, and they're a very skilled group. They know all about this stuff, and we just got a ton of really useful information that we could apply to this. And I think that this is going to be really beneficial to for advertising, reaching out to people.
Thank you.
So
It's great to see a lot of movement.
Yeah, it is fantastic. And
You're doing a good job, Matt.
you can tell by your agendas, you guys have a lot of stuff going now.
yeah, we're still looking at maybe meeting twice a month.
They increased the
About twice
cadence.
a month
Yeah.
now.
The last few meetings,
Summer vacation? No.
yeah, May, June, and July, those meetings were 3 hours long.
We have 3.5.
Easy, and we had to push it towards the end. Those meetings could have gone longer. So
And I'm not sure who's responsible, but the little park across from the old town hall.
Musterfield.
Yes, the
Mhm.
Mustard Field. You know, where the old foundation ruins are,
Mhm.
everything looks real nice. And then where those old foundation ruins, you know, you have weeds like this high.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we put some of the white fence around it, or do we have any restrictions there or anything? It would look wonderful, but that piece, you know, people don't realize that there's ruins there,
Mhm.
but it looks like just a bunch of weeds right in the
Mhm.
middle of everything.
The old
Yeah.
town hall foundation, isn't it?
Well,
That's an old house.
I'm not sure. There are a couple foundations in there. One of them was an old house. And I think one of them was a horse. Like
It
you
was a
could,
shed for the horses. And
Yeah,
a little house.
a
It's
shed.
on the flood of 1936.
What kind of a house?
It was just a small house.
Oh,
I
And then-
thought he said something. too.
we've been cleaning, mowing that. I know the highway department's been mowing it, and Jason and I have been back there, kind of taking the brush back a little bit. But
it looks wonderful.
yeah, but we didn't mow around the foundations or in the foundations at Steve Calloway's request. That was
Yeah, but we gotta
historical
go in the-
society, so they want us to be careful when we're managing that. Because I think they have some ideas in the future.
Maybe if it was just weed whacked or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, That could be it. We should probably invest in a weed whacker. We could use
I
one.
thought you had
sure.
one.
We do. One was donated to us, but it doesn't work. There's an issue with the carburetor. One of our members brought it to be repaired. The repairman took one look at it and gave it back. And he's like, I can't fix it. So
You gotta
we might have
burn the
to.
pre-mixed gas in those things nowadays.
Yeah.
You can't mix your own. It just kills them. If you need one, I will give you a weed whacker. I have a brand new one in the box.
Yeah. I mean, since we're looking at equipment, we might include that.
I need
as a
one
land
too.
management.
Richard, you know you can come to my house and take anything you want, including the blueberries.
I ain't saying that.
Just leave some for my sisters.
But, that's what I have this evening.
Thanks, buddy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks a
you,
lot.
Matt.
That is fantastic. Appreciate the update. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. If I have more, I'll bring it back next meeting.
You're always welcome.
We're every 2 weeks still.
What's that?
We're every 2 weeks.
Weekly. Let's do weekly. Let's just,
Give me a shout and I'll hook you up with a weed whacker.
we'll do.
Okay, next we have the Davis property deed acceptance. Mr. Brown.
Okay, I'm sure the board recalls about 2 months ago, the Davises had reached out to Conservation and the Board of Selectmen. They own 2.9 acres of wetland. It's sort of a back lot down there at 24 Cardinal Lane. It's not, it does have a 50-foot right of way, so it's not, landlocked, but it's totally wet. It's undevelopable. And they really don't, at this point in time, don't want to pay the property taxes. It's probably a better benefit to have it under the ownership and management of the Conservation Commission in town than it is for them to own it, not be able to use it, and pay property taxes on it. And this all got prompted by them filing a tax abatement and really questioning the value that the town has assessed that and the taxes that they have to pay. So both entities, Conservation and Board of Selectmen, said absolutely yes. This connects to more conservation land, so it makes sense that the town takes ownership of it. We've been working with our legal counsel and the Davises, and we have a warranty deed available this evening for the board and Matt. So we just really need the board to vote, authorize Steve to sign it, and we'll get it off to the attorneys. They'll get it recorded at the registry of deed, and then the next item will be at your next meeting will be an abatement that will calculate for the taxes that that was part of our agreement, that we would abate the taxes, the first tax billing that just went out.
I make a motion, we accept the deed.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's.
I'll second it. And
We
the
have a
land-
second by Mr. Lynch. Do we have any further discussion?
The land back there has been wet for years. I don't know how you could get a house lot back or assess it for that. I'll be honest with you. I've seen it. I walked it. You grew up on it.
I know we have land back there too.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's, Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Next is the COVID-19 restrictions for town hall conference call. Mr. Brown.
Before you leave, though, Kim has.
Conference room.
Kim, you have.
Conference.
Does it have to
Yep.
be, it looked like it had
I'll
to be
stick around.
You can
notarized.
stay here, but I mean.
Did it have to be signed in front of people?
No.
I thought it wanted a signature.
It has got to be signed, yes, but
It's the green
I
one.
thought it had a notary. I thought it had to be witnessed, but it's a tough one. I thought.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and just start talking about the conference room procedures. I think we all know that we've been going through several steps with our procedures during COVID-19 on how we conducted our meetings. We, went from only virtual meetings to sort of a hybrid where just town staff and elected officials, committee members could be present. And then the last couple months, we've been having a mixture of sort of a maximum capacity on the room size. I think our number was 17. So we had staff, elected officials, committee members, and members of the public, but we couldn't exceed 17. And I think our goal was always to get through at least the 4th of July and kind of see where we're at. I think everyone's probably pretty much aware. We're just not seeing the reporting of transmission going on in our state. And I'm very comfortable recommending to the Board of Selectmen that we lift all the regulations and procedures for the meeting use here in the conference room. I don't even see there being a need for these dividers. We go back to the horseshoe shape. This will allow us to get more chairs in. The room at one point in time, the room capacity on the wall, which was, is dated 2008, but it's right around 40 people is what this room can accommodate. So, if the board supports that, we'll get this going tomorrow so that we can, the boards and committees can start meeting as we did pre-COVID. I will admit that our emergency management committee has not had a chance to discuss this. I did talk to the fire chief today. He didn't have any objections. The emergency management committee hasn't met in the last couple of weeks. There's no reports coming from the state. The state of emergency is over. But I know all the actions that we've taken has always gone through that committee. But at this point in time, I don't think that's really required.
I think this is a damn good idea.
I think we're at that
I would
point
like to
now.
keep this divider and maybe paint it black. this part.
We can just put up some barbed wire.
Yeah, we could
I would
do
go
that.
with the electric fence around it so I can activate it.
Does anyone have any concerns with this action?
I think it's about time.
Yep, I agree.
Now the question is, how about the other buildings?
I think that's the comment we need to bring back to our committee and because the only place I'm aware of right now is Talon Hall and the community room at the fire station.
And the Recreation Commission will be addressing this tomorrow evening at the meeting.
Oh, they will.
Yeah. So it's on their docket also. So
What's the capacity on Talon Hall normally?
we went through this calculation. It all depends if tables are in there or how it's configured.
It's a lot.
Put this for a comedy night, it's like 200 people with tables, chairs, everything.
With
So
a fire watch.
yeah,
Okay.
because of the fire. But after that, Kevin, what do you think? 350 maybe?
You can put, if I remember the numbers, you can get 350, but there's a fire watch required for those events.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because then you get suppressed buildings and non-suppressed.
Yep.
Normally, for that building, the way it's used, you got less than 50 in there most of the time, which means you're all right, because that's what the building is designed for, and you got the means of egress is perfect. I think if you want to get into a larger events, you will have to have a fire watch with a guy there, which is typical, because it's only going to be 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Without putting an expensive sprinkler system, something that's not used like that on a common basis. Your exits out of there are perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. You got more ways out of that building and the whole 9 yards. So
How about the fire station meeting room?
I don't remember what the occupancy load there was on that unit.
I had 4 or 5 rows of tables.
It's,
Yeah. Once again, it's how it's
kind of similar in the
configured.
way it's set up, but I hear it, at least through
Bigger than
COVID,
here.
it was kind of similar to this room.
Yeah, it's bigger than this space.
Yeah.
So,
And they have suppression, so you can have a higher density in there.
Mhm.
Okay.
we never made a motion to.
I
I don't
don't
think so
recall.
on
I
size.
make a motion for
We opened it up.
item E to remove the COVID restrictions for the town hall conference room.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's.
I'll second it.
We have a second by Mr. Lynch. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would amend it to recommend to eliminate COVID-19 restrictions for all town buildings. If that's okay with you, Rich.
It's fine with me.
I'll second the amendment.
Okay, so we have the amended motion, and we have a second to it. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
All right.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Next, we have the swap table update.
Oh, that's so
Mr.
nice.
Brown. in the Litchfield Mall.
The Litchfield Mall.
Well, at the last meeting, you remember at our public comment, we had a citizen come in and had made a recommendation. That person was aware that we've been talking about the swap table and some of the impacts that it has on the operation down at the recycling facility. So the suggestion was that the town take a look at purchasing or renting one of those steel cargo containers, and that we place it in the area that was just recently cleared, and that would take take a lot of the activity away from the area that people are parking and disposing of their waste, move it away from the operation. And the board asked me to reach out to Mr. Mellon, the transfer facility director, and seek his input. So Dave, you can see, came up with a list of a lot of questions and concerns about this concept. And, I think just in summary, his concern is, the primary concern is the fact that if you establish an operation outside of the facility itself, then you would kind of create a situation where there would be access 24/7. So there would be, right now, the operation is within a locked fence, and it's only available inside a building that's designated for recycling and the swap table activities. And there's always someone, on the most part, there's always someone there overseeing and assisting people with the items that can be put on the table and what can't be put on the table. So, and I kind of suspected that was going to be Mr. Mellon's response, is that if it's unsupervised, you're probably going to invite more problems than we currently have today.
It's a very good point.
The concept was a good thought, I thought, but all in all, what Dave has brought up here, I've seen it happen in other towns. When you open up something like this, some unfamiliar objects will show up and dropped off beside the door on the outside because there's no security.
Yep.
Okay, I think it has merit if there was some security.
Yeah.
In other words, you can't get into that drop-off point. As it is now, we know that every once in a while we find items at the gate
At the front
waiting to
gate.
get in.
Oh, it's a popular place.
Or just down the road from Hillcrest, right?
Yep.
DLB's paving sanding pit there.
Yeah.
We put up a gate, but they roll over the top.
But yeah, it's, and that's what it really comes down to:
Security.
security, having supervision, keeping an eye on it all the time. We're just
Yeah.
inviting more problems than we currently have. But it was a good thought.
Yeah, no, appreciate
The thought was, hey, let's get the vehicles, let's get the traffic, let's get it away from where the people are trying to do their business. And but that,
There's two sides of that.
How about if we put a time limit on how long somebody can be there?
Like a
Maybe
meter.
10 minutes. So they don't stay there and talk all day and block traffic.
I don't know how you're going to do that, but I think if the people who are monitoring the operations there just has to express concern to that person, you need to go. I know when I was there and Dave came to talk to me once, the guy next door said, "Hey, stop talking. Let's get going."
They do a good job of self-policing.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
residents, when they come in, I've been a couple times,
Mhm.
and a chatty Cathy have been called out for it.
What I've done there, okay, if I'm going to go see Dave, I'll go in and I take my trash, I'll make the loop and go park with the rest of the
Mhm.
guys.
Mhm.
I'll say I'm not in a parking spot, which you can do that.
I mean, that we're in the business not to make money when we're trying to tell our customers, you don't have much time to shop in our. Imagine with
I understand what-
Walmart and Target and all those
The
companies.
prices are really good.
Come to the door.
They can't compete.
Welcome
with
to
our
Walmart.
prices.
You have 10 minutes. Get in, get out.
Get you.
Well, thank you for bringing that to Dave and getting his input. There's some great input he came back with.
He knows it better than anybody.
And I appreciate the resident coming up with that thought, because it was a very good thought.
If there was an area where people can go pull off after they're dumping, that's another process all by itself.
Within the-
Mhm. Yeah.
within
Okay.
the,
But to have them pull off and outside the gate with a building out there, you're gonna run into people. Now that David brought up the basic functions there, you can see when this will happen.
All right, being that it's 7:15, I will open it up to public input. Do we have any members of the public that would like to provide input? Seeing there's nobody in the room and we're not virtual any longer, we'll close public input. Next item is KBT Realty Trust Tax Abatement Settlement. Mr. Brown.
Okay, so KBT Realty, back in 2020, they filed an abatement. We had issued a land use change tax because they disturbed about 2.2 acres of land. So the tax on that was $20,000. They filed an appeal, and that's been going on now for over a year. We've been going back and forth with our assessors. The selectmen's last action was that you delegated the authority to our legal counsel to negotiate this and reach an agreement. And both parties have come to an agreement. They've essentially agreed to paying a tax of $12,500. In addition to that, they would be responsible for the interest costs that have incurred. They're just about $3,500. I mean, that cost, the final calculation will be done once we come to the agreement. But there'd be no penalties or fines that would be issued. So they'd pay $12,500 and whatever interest costs have been incurred.
It's going to be about 16,000.
16 of the original 20.
So we started off at 20.
Mhm.
Our assessors took a step back, trying to resolve it. It offered 17,000, and it looks like we're going to settle here somewhere just around 16,000. So.
Just to be, how much it costs in legal fees to do this?
Actually, not too much. I would
good
say
on
that the town, I would think KBT probably paid more, but we paid less than 1,000.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good return.
So there's a set, there's the $1,000 that we agreed to.
It's a good return, though. At least we're going to get
Okay.
a good portion of our money back. Okay, so you just need us to make a motion to authorize you to execute the abatement settlement.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Larry.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Queenan. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Next item is the 2022 budget preliminary discussion and guidance. Mr. Brown.
Short and sweet.
Thought I'd break the ice and get us.
Yeah, it's that time of year already, huh?
I know we just got over the 4th of July celebration, but for us on the town side, that means that we, shortly after the 4th of July, we start talking budgets. The budget committee has already approved their meeting schedule. So they have informed us that they're expecting to meet with us for the first time, September 30th, and that will be a presentation of our budget, same process as years in the past. And they'll spend pretty much the month of October with our department heads and selectmen going through our budget. And then they take a break, they move to the school, and then we all come back again in December and work on warrant articles. So I just, about this time of the year, in the next couple of weeks, I'll start reaching out to the boards and committees and department heads. And I just wanted to touch base with the selectmen, seeking your input. We can have continued discussion on this at our next meeting too. But some of the things that, like last year, we had a zero-based budget. We've gone through that work. So I really think that went really well. The budget committee really appreciated it. And I think the department heads learned a lot through it too.
Without a doubt.
So I still think that we should still keep that as our directive. Just build upon what we did last year. And then really some of the things I was just thinking out loud was just to get everyone start thinking about it, because it comes quick. I always sit here and say, we got to get our warrant articles done early. And then I know we're always doing it right around Christmas, but we've had a lot of discussions last year during the budget process where we decided to take items off the warrant.
Yep.
And then I've heard other discussions going on in the last 6 months of some new items. And so the fire engine is something I'm sure will be discussed. That's been the Board of Selectmen for 2 years in a row has asked or have removed it from the warrant with sort of an unofficial promise that they'll consider putting it back on the warrant for in the next budget. We've heard some discussion about the town clerk's office, a need for some part-time help. I've had discussions with the road agent, and I know Kevin Lynch brought this up at the last meeting too, that 2 years ago we asked for a full-time person down at the highway department, and that warrant article failed, but it didn't fail by much.
Mhm.
I honestly, truly believe, without any hesitation, that there's a need, a solid need in the highway
We
department.
have 2
for
people in the
additional-
department right now, and the majority of our other departments have more.
That's
And-
one of the departments that's out on the roads night and day.
They have
And
what,
it-
144 lane miles they cover?
Yeah, and there's a lot of brush, a lot of clearing, a lot of culverts, a lot of picking up stuff, dead animals, the whole thing goes.
Just
It just,
the-
and you
the
put
work's not
2 guys
getting
on the
done.
road. You need a backup.
When
Full-time.
the work's not getting done, and it's not their fault. It's just
No.
we're not getting the work done.
They can't.
And
I mean,
it's,
we have more
we're starting
employees in
to-
our library than we do in our highway department.
Well, I think some of the townspeople were upset that a couple of years earlier, a new position was added without going to warrant. And I think,
It was
and I heard a lot of that.
there was a
That's why I
difficult
voted
time
no.
when that warrant article went on.
Yeah.
It was a difficult
Oh, yeah.
period of time.
No-
and,
no question
and
about it.
even during then, it was pretty close.
Yeah.
Almost made it. So
Yeah.
I
But there was a
really
lot of upset.
They,
people
yeah,
over
they
that.
need help though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
that's
they
your point,
absolutely
yeah.
need help.
One of the things I've learned about this town, if you're gonna add people, it's gotta be vote.
Because they'll
Okay.
remember.
And then, there was discussion this year about trying to get the transfer station facility and the highway driveway that goes up to that last gate to get that reclaimed and paved. I'd like to continue to look at that and get a solid estimate on that. Dara Pond cleanup, I think recreation, conservation, maybe have been having some conversations. That didn't come up last year. I think with COVID and everything going on, I think it just sort of went silent, but in the background, I still hear people talking about it. So I don't know.
The pond itself or the park?
The park.
The-
No,
The
it's-
pond
it's
itself, I
pond
guess
itself.
the exotic weed growth.
Yeah.
Milfoil.
Milfoil, but if you
Milfoil.
go back to the facilities improvement survey that was sent out, a lot of people would like to see Dara Pond
Usable.
cleaned up and utilized once again.
The
So
wolves
rec
pond?
commission really needs to figure out what they want to go do with that and what they want the future of that pond to be. And I think they've been reaching out about the milfoil again. And one of our questions when we pulled it, what was it, 2 years ago, was we didn't know what the maintenance cost was going to be going forward.
That's why we pulled it. Yep.
And the other side, that's the last 2 years, we've been in a drought. The pond's down.
Mhm.
The Duchamp well is down still, I believe, I'm 100%. I called and I've been told
Yeah,
yes.
100%.
Okay, sorry I didn't get back to you, but the Duchamp well is down. That's a drainer from that area. So the rain that we had in the 2 inches of rain, which it actually was 4. Okay,
Yeah.
I got 4 in a bucket
6.
that I got. Okay, plus some. That's going to help that recharge that area and bring that area up. But that area has been really low.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's because of what's coming out of the ground. It's everything in there. You got the school irrigation stuff going on and everything else, which is connected to that. So I think, and plus what's happening with the Conservation and Rec Commission getting together about equipment to be used to help clean up that area. It's not just the pond itself. We gotta look at the beach, look at the area down there, and this will help that area with the little rake or type tractor. We can put a York rake on and clean it up. So these are little things, plus along the fields. So it's not just a pond, it's
Are
just
people
around
allowed to
it.
swim there now? Is there any restrictions?
There's
against
I don't think
it?
there's any restriction
There's no
whatsoever. I don't think
restriction.
anyone does. I mean, a
Wouldn't-
lot of people
You
fish
you
there,
can swim there.
kayak there.
Yeah,
but
there's no
haven't-
restriction.
I haven't seen anybody swimming there going on and off the
Swim all
dock.
the
or
time there,
anything.
yeah. If you go
lot
out
of
about
fishing.
half or 3/4 of the way, you can stand up. The water's only waist deep.
Yeah, and it used to be much deeper.
Yeah.
You put the,
It used to be about 15 feet deep.
yep,
Yeah, but you got a high spot in the middle of it.
there's one area not too far out where the docks used to be.
Yeah.
It goes down about 20
Yeah,
feet.
it goes way down.
okay?
Yeah.
20, and that's where, I know my,
Funny story, about 35 years ago, we were trying to expand the beach. So we had somebody come in the wintertime and dumped a bunch of sand on the ice.
On the ice.
And it's a good idea, and it worked. So then I took a tractor out on the ice to kind of level it off, and lo and behold, I fell through the ice with the tractor. But it wasn't very deep. We got it out, and the tractor's fine now.
Became a submarine.
I say, that's a good one. That's a good one.
You saw big old Rich standing on one of the wheels.
And he's saying it's cold.
I think it's covered in the painting back there. See, Rich?
Then the last couple of, and I'm sure there's other items too. I just quickly did a
Yep.
quick
There's
brainstorm.
gonna be a
but
lot to that.
The other couple of things we've kind of heard, or we recently kind of discovered, was the conservation fund. We have a warrant article to put a cap on the conservation fund not to exceed $1 million, and all those funds above the $1 million is placed into a temporary holding fund until a designated appropriation is approved by the voters. If not, then those funds lapse to the general fund. So there's I've heard discussion that either increase the cap from $1 million to whatever number, or eliminate the cap altogether. And then whatever the balance of funds are in this temporary holding fund, do we have a warrant article this year to say, hey, this X amount of funds as a result from whatever, and to raise and appropriate it and put it back into the conservation fund. So I kind of see, depending on conservation, selectmen, budget committee, all you guys working together, that there'll be two warrant articles. They'll be separate. I don't think you can combine these into one. There'll be one action that's required, and then the next one would be, okay, let's take these funds and move them back to where they should be, if that's what people want to do.
Spend your money, Matt.
Working on it.
That's why it's there.
Go get us some good land.
That's
Work in
it's
process.
kind of funny because I don't think the taxpayers intended to set up that type of
Restriction.
structure, but really there's more pressure on the Conservation Commission to spend money when in fact they may not want to spend it just to spend it. They may be want to hold on to it to be able to purchase more expensive, important property. But the situation they're in right now, there's a lot of discussion going on about spend it, because if you don't spend it, you're going to lose it. And that's not really a good situation for any governmental board, committee, or department.
How long does the selectmen or the town hold on to the excess
So until the next town,
till the next
Town
town
vote.
meeting?
and if there's no action taken, then it'll lapse into the general fund, which is not, there's nothing wrong with that either, because we have warrant articles that then sometimes we'll ask, can we buy a plow truck?
Yeah.
It's a circle.
Yeah, this money's not lost, but
Well, maybe it's something that we could possibly get another account to hold that money until they spend and then reimburse their.
yeah, so right now, Karen,
know what
because
structure
we
we
hit the
want.
$1 million cap, so Karen has set up, I'll call it just a holding account, so the money that's being collected above and beyond the million is being set aside,
Mhm.
and we'll have to discuss what we're going to do with it.
Well, I think whereas it's conservation money, we should hold it for conservation. Earmarking it for something else is probably not the wisest thing to do.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
So if we just hold it until,
And we'll have to have a warrant article, and I kind of assume that would be the position of this board, but we'll have to have a warrant
That's
article.
what the money was for.
Yep. Keep
That's
it
what it
as
was
a-
collected.
Yeah, that's what it's for. It's not to go buy a truck or a new police cruiser.
if we hold on to it and then maybe they come up with a piece of land that they really want, that's 1.3, and we have that money, then we can
Yep.
contribute as well. It's their money. I don't like impact fees, but I don't like misspending them either.
I'm not gonna get too many impact fees. There's not much going on.
It's a lot of them, yeah.
So yeah, anytime, feel free to, I try to keep a running list of some things. And if you just want to reach out to me one-on-one with your ideas, then I'm a good person to bring those thoughts to. And then I bring them back to this board and discuss them. And
Would it be beneficial if conservation proposed or suggested a new cap or what an alternative for
I
that
think
warrant article?
I do think that it would be very beneficial for the Conservation Commission to take a position. And unfortunately, you're in a position where you can either remove the cap, or if you're afraid that the removal of the cap may not gain 50% support of the community, that you propose to increase the cap.
Yeah. Okay.
I personally think that the cap should be removed, but
Well, bring it up at the next meeting.
if you want to preserve the landscape, culture, and
Yep.
the look and feel of our town right now, the only way you're going to do it
We do
is by
get that.
preserving land.
For so many years, the conservation and present company excluded, they just sat on their money and didn't want to spend it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's important that we had it to try and move a little bit, but I would be in favor of a secondary account myself. That way the money's still there. The town will control it when they need it, or
Well, see, and that could, I didn't, yeah, and that's a good scenario too, where, okay, the Conservation Commission, you have everything, up to the million or whatever that cap is.
Mhm.
Anything that goes over is still identified as land purchase, but maybe it's controlled by the Board of Selectmen.
then you won't feel bad about buying that ATV either.
But I mean, it's a good discussion that we'll have.
Yeah, that'll be good when it comes
We
around.
need to really think it through and
That's right. You
Yep.
can't drive an ATV on conservation land. You'd be breaking your own rule.
Authorized personnel.
That's good.
That's a good one.
my guess is I don't know. You guys were around. Some of you were around when this article was passed. My thought was that maybe the $1 million figure was picked because no one ever thought that would ever actually get there.
Mhm.
It's a
Well,
big number.
There's a lot of homes were built in this town, and that's where it all comes from.
Yep.
And right now, you're not getting the subdivisions going through because there isn't much out there that really wants to go. There's some that may want to do it, but your future here is not going to be a lot of homes right now.
Is that everything in the budget update?
It's everything I have is
Okay,
You
we
know,
come up with anything, we'll
yeah.
send it your way. So next we have the administrator report, Mr. Brown.
all right. Just
Mm.
I just got three items here that I wanted to
You do it.
just get back on our radar, because now is the time that we kind of got off the budget development season and everything, and then we got vacations and we got stuff. So the fire chief contract, I think we all knew that we voted to push that out till extend it until the end of December. And the last action we had on record was that Chairman Weber and Vice Chairman Leary and myself would be part of the negotiating team. And I think it's probably time now that we can sit down and have face-to-face conversation with our fire chief and get that discussion going. We've had issues or discussions about adopting an ethics policy. I had discovered that we have one that was adopted many, many years ago. I don't think anyone knows that it was on the books. Selectman Queenan has offered to work with me to research what we have and to bring forth, a policy for this board to adopt. I don't know if the board's actually going to adopt it or if it's going to be a town meeting vote,
Mhm.
but Kim and I will do that research and bring back to you for consideration. And then I know there's been some discussion with the Heritage Commission. It's a fairly new commission, and they really hit the ground running right after they were created without really any, support of town staff. But one of the things that Selectman Queen has made me aware of is that they have no place to store their records. So they're being kind of stored right now in their private homes and this and that. So I'll be reaching out to them and designating a spot at the town office. I have a file drawer in my office that's available, because these are all, documentations that they've gone out. There's 3 homes that they've already gone out and surveyed before they were demolished. And you want to make sure those records are always in a public place and available to the public for future reference. So
Do we have room at the old fire station if they need more room?
they do. Right
Upstairs,
now, I'm
maybe?
thinking that what I have in my office should be sufficient, but definitely in the old fire station is.
The
Upstairs
second
is-
story, you've got some storage up there in the office area
Oh, yeah.
downstairs.
Yeah, the filing
Downstairs.
cabinets are still there.
Yeah.
and-
The downstairs needs a little love. I'll let it go at that. Somebody's just throwing a lot of stuff in there.
It's not that,
Okay,
it's not that bad. I was just down there the other day.
okay.
I would add, we're talking about the fire chief contract. It's important for us to understand where the board wants to go.
Yep.
Where you guys want us to.
Give us the foul poles and
Yep.
let us
Tell-
work within it.
Tell us what your thoughts are. I think we've done that with everybody else.
Yep, we have. Yep.
Okay. So,
From there, we have our marching orders and
Yeah.
go do what we can do. So next we have the selectmen reports. Ms. Queenan.
The Litchfield Planning Board's next meeting will be held Tuesday, July 20th, 2021 at 7 PM here at the Litchfield Town Hall. Our last meeting, we continued our discussion on land use laws for the commercial zones in the northern part of town, southern, and the southern industrial, and we'll continue to work with that. Nashua Regional Planning Commission has its quarterly commission meeting on Wednesday, September 15th, 2021 at 7 PM at NRPC itself. They're building at 30 Temple Street in Nashua, New Hampshire, and you can find directions on their website. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. From my side, the emergency management team has not met in, I think, the last 3 weeks, as we discussed earlier. Rec Commission is tomorrow evening, and I was not in attendance for the last school facility improvement committee due to a work obligation during the day. Mr. Leary.
Budget committee is the 22nd of this month, I believe. No meeting in July. It's August.
Yeah,
My
you're
bad.
off till August, that's right.
My bad.
Then you start.
Yes.
You're really excited to get going.
That's my friends over there.
Mr. Lynch.
I don't have anything to say. He said it all.
Good update, Matt. Appreciate it.
Matt said it all. I was there.
Perfect.
I came in this whole thing.
It's the best update we've had, isn't
That
it?
is the best.
Oh.
2.5 years sitting here. That's the best.
Mr. LaSalle's.
Heritage Commission is tomorrow, although their meeting is at 7 and I have a 5 o'clock. Which I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to make that. I'll touch base with Carl and see what's up. No particular inputs as far as legislative is concerned. My name is mud right now on social media. I've been accused of hate speech. So if you go by the house and I'm out on the porch, you don't need to wave or honk or anything. I'll understand. But
Oh, absolutely honk.
that's it.
Thank you. Since we had no other business, we have no non-public, we are good to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Leary,
Second.
second by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
All right.
Mr. LaSalle's,
All right.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. We are now adjourned. Thank you for watching, and everyone have a great 2 weeks before we see you again.